Hello and welcome to A Step Ahead, a special initiative by HSBC and ET Now, where we're putting the spotlight on companies that are staying ahead of the competition by driving their future-ready agenda. On this special episode, we're looking at an organization that has kept the community in mind. In fact, they have championed the cause of inclusive banking with the help of digital innovation. Financing the community for their betterment is what sets this organization apart. On this special episode, we're looking at Shriram Transport Finance Company Limited. Driving the philosophy of putting people first, Shriram Transport Finance Company prides itself on perfectly understanding their customers. With products and services customized for their clients, it has brought the company closer to the grassroots, making it the preferred brand for all the truck financing requirements amongst customers, thus leading them on the path of prosperity. And I'm now in conversation with Mr. Umesh Revankar. He's the MD and CEO of Shriram Transport Finance Company. Thank you so much, Mr. Revankar, for talking to us. First up, I just wanted to know that at Shriram Transport Finance Company, you're using technology to empower people at the bottom of the pyramid. So it's being used to convert just truck drivers to become truck owners, to become businessmen. So tell me a little bit about how the technology has been used.
Let us understand the community which we are addressing, the customer base. They're basically drivers who have become owner over the period. And these are the people who are wanting to upgrade themselves and adopt to the technology. So knowing this segment well, who can adopt himself for a technology, for his betterment and growth, we felt that we should start adopting or including technology as a part of the business. In fact, the first trial, what we did is, we told the customer here afterwards, there is no more receipt for you, the receipt will come through SMS. Okay. So I wanted him to develop a habit of looking into mobile and looking at a receipt, because everyone wants a receipt which is a piece of paper.
Yes, physical, so, they can touch it, they can feel it. Yes, yes.
So initially the SMS he used to receive in 2 hours, then it became 2 minutes. Now it's 2 seconds. Yeah. So the customers get adopted to the technology over the period. Then over the period, we have translated that into various other things. But however, we are able to remove a lot of duplication, what that was involved in loan origination. Especially you ask address proof, and you also photo ID,
bank details.
Then bank details, then we need to inspect the vehicle. Now I can inspect the vehicle and make the valuation of the vehicle and upload it into the system. I need not do it physically the way which we were doing. Sometimes we used to ask the vehicle to come to the branch. Today we need not do it. Field officer can go, he does it on his own and uploads all the photograph into the system. And since it is everything is on time, and the server catches up, there's no question of manipulation of documents or giving a document which is not accurate. So there is a very accurate data, what you call capturing and the transmission to the system. And the branch manager can very well look into various data points.
Talk to me a little bit, Mr. Revankar, about the My Shriram app. How is that being used to empower your customers?
The My app consists of all the requirement wherein he himself can apply for a loan without any intervention. And also he can make the payment, he can understand his status, he can get a mini statement. And all payment gateways are linked to the My app. Yes. And he can also go for insurance renewals, because we are also providing him with insurance services like general insurance and life insurance. Because these customers are not reached by anyone for selling insurance, and they are not covered. So we are trying to reach out to them so that he understands what he needs, and probably he can do all his work on his own. And these payment gateways are something unique. In fact, all these facilities were there before demonetization. So we had these facilities, and during the demonetization, we increased the penetration and we increased the use, which none of the others had within the banking or non-banking system. They did not have this kind of system.
But the early days must have been tough. What have been some of the key moments in this journey where you think maybe were the turning points that helped expedite this, speed this up and make it easier for your customers to accept this technology?
I think basically this demonetization is the time where we could highlight it, because otherwise customers wouldn't really look at it as an enabler. So when during demonetization time we encourage the customer to use it. We also gave some cashback for each payment done by him, so that to encourage him to use it. And for the field officer, relationship executive who are in touch with the customer, they also we encourage them to start using, because for us, user is not just customer. I have my own field officers who are 17,000 in numbers. Every one of them has to understand the technology and adopt. The younger one, it's very easy. The person who joined the company 4-5 years back, he adopts very easily, and but at the same time, the person who joined 15-20 years back, he finds it extremely difficult to adopt himself. So these differences I need to address. So our own people we educated first, then we made them educate the customer who download the My Shriram app. It's a long journey. Maybe we are half the way, another 50% to go.
Super. I know that your company also does a lot of medical camps, upskilling, training programs. Tell me a little bit about that, because my understanding is that technology on its own, while it's empowering, it does need this support system as well, so that the recipient of at the bottom of the pyramid is definitely easily empowered.
A driver is always treated a little differently.
Of course.
So many people are not coming forward to become a driver. So there is estimation that we have a shortage of around 10 lakhs driver. Shortage of 10 lakh driver is huge. So we thought we should do something. One, to train the driver. Second, to get the respect for the driver. Third one, to upscale the driver. Because many of them know basic driving. They would have taken driving license by becoming a cleaner to driver and getting a license. But upgrading them, upscaling them, giving them basic education on the vehicle, training them on mechanical, first aid, some yoga for having a healthy life. All those things we have introduced in the training program, and we have started this last 3-4 years. So these are all the programs which I feel over the period will make the environment around the truck driver or owner a healthy, respectful, and society looks at him much respectfully.
Fantastic. Well, we'll just take a break here, Mr. Revankar. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. On the other side, Mr. Revankar and me are joined by Rajat Verma of HSBC Commercial Banking, and we will continue our conversation of how technology is impacting people at the bottom of the pyramid. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to A Step Ahead, a special initiative by HSBC and ET Now, and my conversation with Mr. Umesh Revankar of Shriram Transport Finance Company continues. Also, we're joined by Rajat Verma. He's the MD and head of HSBC Commercial Banking India. Mr. Revankar, before the break, we were talking about how you're using technology to empower these truck drivers to become drivers come owners. But the other angle to that is the data that you're collecting. How are you using that data to maybe provide better services, better products to your customers?
Whatever we are collecting, we are trying to look at the various segments, because the asset classes, there are various asset classes, various makes and model. How each of the asset classes are behaving in various geography. It helps us to reduce the risk and the LTV component on each of the asset classes. Even though we try to understand each of the customers' business model standalone, because each of the customers' cash flows are different. It is not the same, and his application of the asset also will be different. So we basically trying to reduce the risk associated with the business and try to improve our asset quality. That's the primary thing which we are doing. But apart from that, we are collecting a lot of other data, and today with a host of other activities like Now we are giving a fast tag to him. We are providing him the insurance. Recently, we have given the fuel credit to the customer. This is the most simplest technology we have used to give a fuel credit. He has to just go to any fuel pump, show his number, mobile number, give his mobile number, OTP will come on his mobile number, and he can fill the fuel, a tank full. There is a limit set to each of the customers.
Yes.
And he can go anywhere in India, fill the fuel with the credit. Now this is very important data for me. Now this fast tag which tracks the truck plus the fuel credit which he is able to get anywhere across the country. These are the two important parameters, and I think it will help me to scale the business. Now I want to use this technology to give him a bill discounting facility, because bill discounting is in vogue. It is being used in the system. We estimate around 30,000-40,000 crore of money is given as a bill discounting any point of time to the various truckers. Wow. And I feel that we have a very big scope and opportunity to give that kind of liquidity. Now I am giving a fuel credit, I am giving a liquidity. If I am able to give bill discounting across the country, anytime, anywhere to the customer, then his entire liquidity can be addressed by us. He need not carry cash.
Rajat, your thoughts on this, and just taking it a little bit step ahead, is the idea of using technology to kind of reduce the number of face-to-face interactions, which again is happening in banks also. Your thoughts on the corporate front, with corporate India using this to empower their businesses?
I think whenever you go to a very large set of number of payment transactions and you go P2C, there's the steps that India has taken over the last 5 years are enormous. Yeah. It started with Jan Dhan account openings, etc. Right? You got 40% of people moving to 80% of people having bank accounts. That was the starting point. And then you had technology and mobile phones. It's all part of the same jigsaw. Yes. If you didn't have one of these, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah. So essentially what it does to banking is that genuinely you don't need so many feet on street, you don't need so many branches, you don't need that many face-to-face interactions. And sometimes you look at the branches, they're not as packed as they used to be. Clearly, and that you can see with generational change will improve dramatically. Now this has massive implications for people, for people that Umesh lends to, right? And maybe people even below that, because the cost of transaction is quite a material part. If each transaction is a small amount, then the cost of transaction becomes a relevant data point, right? Yes. So let's say if I go even one step below to say microfinance, right, where the loans are 15 to 20,000, you're collecting every 2 weeks a few hundred rupees, right? There's no way you're going to make money on this model other than with very high rates, unless you reduce the cost of that collection. Right. And that is what technology has done quite dramatically.
I want to take one step to the side, Mr. Revankar, and talk again a little bit about what we spoke earlier about the logistics industry, where it is facing the shortage of drivers. What are some steps that you feel that can be done to just empower people, to help ease the logistics business's growth?
I think government is trying to really address this issue. The skill development department of the government is trying to focus on this part of it. And they are also trying to encourage the lot of training being imparted to various the drivers. I feel a proper, not only just training driver, reskilling again, because all these existing driver also may not be fit enough to drive specialized vehicles or large vehicles. We need to reskill them. So there is a rough estimation given, and people are not willing to become driver today because the environment in which he has been working and the treatment the society is been given. In fact, when we started driver training program, we couldn't find enough candidate to come in Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu. Nobody wants to become a driver as a profession. Yes. Then we have to move to Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Bihar to enlist people. So to that extent, I can say that we need to really provide that kind of environment to get good drivers.
I want to take a step back, and this is a question for both gentlemen, and Rajat, if you could start.
Sure.
The
just want to discuss your thoughts on the current scenario in the NBFC sector. What's happening there? Because it's a sector that is key to the growth.
The NBFC sector is very important for the country, right? The incremental lending estimates vary, but anything between 30 to 35% was being, not the immediate past, but was being of incremental lending was coming from non-banks, right? And that's a pretty substantial sum. If you stop that, you stop a lot of growth in various sectors. So it's an important sector. But what is the sector? And I think there were some, to my view, there were some fundamental dilemmas that the NBFC industry faces. So if you are you a retail only NBFC? Are you a wholesale plus retail? Are you a semi-hedge fund? Are you a mix of all of these institutions? Do you have the liquidity to finance these? Do you have the ability to raise different pools of capital, etc., right? So I think many existential identity type questions have been thrown up through this crisis. And therefore, my prognosis is that it's going to take a little bit longer for this to play out. I think the high quality NBFCs are still doing well, are still able to raise foreign capital, Shriram being a great case in point. Yes. But it's tough for most of the players because of the tagging associated with the sector. So sometimes you have to tide the storm over and you can't ride when the storm is going. Okay. Yeah. The other thing is that NBFCs have to be prepared that they may not get the same terms and pricing, etc., that they did just because of the tagging of the sector. And I think in such times it's important to preserve capital, important to keep sticking to the basics. Yes. So lots of do's and don'ts here.
Mr. Revankar, your thoughts?
Most of the thoughts what Rajat say I endorse, but in Indian context, because maybe NBFC is little unique model, business model. If you look at the other developed countries or developing countries, it may not be as vibrant in other economy. In Indian economy, what happens because of the large population and various communities, various practices, various way of doing businesses, NBFC have been playing a major role in reaching out to the last mile. They have built a specialization in understanding certain business practices, certain communities, certain geographies. This have come about over the period. So the NBFC which have niche ability to understand in a particular segment, they have done well and they have been doing well. And NBFC have been always a complementary to bank. They never a competitor to banks.
Rajat, I want to feed on from that.
Completely agree with him that as long as it's complementary and it fulfills two different needs for the economy, it can be massively empowering. And let me add that the role that NBFCs have played in the growth of the country, certainly over the last, I would say, couple of decades, has been massive because the banks were, to put it bluntly, not efficient enough or geared enough or legacy systems, etc. Many reasons for it. These people wouldn't have been reached out to if some of these specific NBFC companies weren't around.
Rajat, just as we wind up, your thoughts on the digital play. So we're seeing it happen on such a large scale with such huge opportunity at the bottom of the pyramid. Your interactions with, I'm looking more from the corporate India space, when you're dealing with so many people in corporate India, just any thoughts that are coming up about where they are seeing this heading?
So look at the B2C space where we've spoken about some of the work that Shriram has done, credit dynamic limits and credit cards and UPI payments, etc. And that is now quite embedded. Now the game now is to go from A volume to B volume. I don't even say what UPI volumes are, BHIM volumes are, because every month they keep increasing quite rapidly. So that is the path that B2C transactions are on, and it's actually quite easy. Then you go vernacular, you go into different languages, you make it more popular. All of that is happening. I think in the B2B space also there's a lot of exciting work happening. So for example, one of the things that is happening is really at the high end of B2B trade. International trade is the highest end of B2B transaction banking, right? And there you're seeing what is called distributed ledger technology, right? Which people call blockchain as well, essentially, where it's actually the old khata system where everybody is in a trusted environment and talking on the same platform. And that is exciting. We've done a few transactions and now several banks are trying that out. So that has the potential to be very scalable. And that is why people are excited about it, because of the idea that it is so scalable. So, I mean, equally in India, if you look at financing wholesale, today so Umesh has as well alluded to it. I think, you know, you're saying you can finance the supply chain, the drivers. I mean, essentially what we could think of doing is, so if you've got a large conglomerate who's buying from a lot of people, you can give money to the conglomerate who can then pass it on, or give give cash discounts and stuff, or you can simply, if you have a system which is scalable and which is, say, GST invoice based, or based on a transaction flow which you can validate with certainty, then you can start financing at a transaction level. Ultimately, you can start putting this transaction for bidding and on a platform, etc., right? Which is what certain platforms are trying to do. So you can think of wholesale financing, and then you can think of blowing it up and making it at an intersection with retail financing. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening everywhere.
Thank you so much, Rajat, for talking to us. Thank you, Mr. Revankar, for talking to us. You've been watching A Step Ahead, an initiative by HSBC and ET Now. It's been a totally interesting, thought-provoking discussion. Technology is definitely making an impact at the bottom of the pyramid, helping to spread financial inclusion. But the important thing is, do keep that human touch with technology. Be ready to offer your clients, your customers more options, but once again, keep that human touch. Here are some of the highlights of the episode. Thank you so much for watching.
Digital identification and eKYC systems to simplify access to the financial system and will provide a solid foundation for the development of the digital economy. Digital payment infrastructure and open electronic payment systems will facilitate digital financial flows in the economy. Promotion of account opening and access with electronic provision of government services to scale up the use of digital finance and related services. A regulatory framework to support, adapt and monitor the system has tremendous potential to transform financial inclusion and support digital economic development.